Hi everyone, today I decided to show you a book that I really like. I got it a really long time ago, but I haven't had the time to really immerse myself into it and take a careful look at it. So I decided today is a great opportunity to just appreciate all the pictures, the fonts, the texture, and of course the information that can be found within. This book is about psychology. It's in my native language, which is Bulgarian. I bought it a couple of years ago when I was mentally struggling. I thought maybe I'm going to find some useful information inside. But without further ado, I am going to just start with the first couple of pages. As you can see, it's a really nice red color. It's actually interesting to think about why they chose this color. But again, maybe it's because it's very attractive to people, I suppose. Now, on the first pages, you can of course find a little bit more information about who wrote the book, what's inside, more about the publishing house, the year that it was published in. It was published in 2012, so that's around 12 years ago. So it's been some time, but as we know, this type of information does not really change that quickly, so I think the information is more or less reliable. So as per usual, here we can see the actual information that we can find in the book. So there's a lot about behaviorism, there's a little bit about psychotherapy, there's some information about cognitive psychology, social psychology, developmental psychology, and other type of psychology. I'm not familiar with all of them, although I studied psychology. I have a master's degree in general psychology. Now, here we can see some black and white pictures that I actually really enjoy. I kind of enjoy the simplicity of the black and white pictures, and usually when you get a look into it, you can see more than you initially did. For example, this one I like in particular. I'm sorry that you see it in reverse, but this one is really curious to me. I suppose there are different interpretations of what this image means, but I like that it's very symbolic. It's not as simple as it looks. Really like the red color of this book, and the fonts are really great. It makes everything easy to read when you look at it. Now, of course, these type of books, they start with a little bit of history, and they provide some background for the information. So there's a little bit said about Charles Darwin. There's a little bit said about Charcot, for example. There's also a lot about Freud and different psychologists who were influential at the time they were alive, and after that, of course. Now here we get to the part where some colorful images start to pop. Now on this page one can learn a little bit more about the temperaments, and I think it's curious that temperaments are actually inborn. It's not something that you can change, or of course you can influence it and work on yourself and kind of try to balance it out, but it's generally something that we're born with, and I find that fascinating. So here they're talking about who created the concept and how it came to be, and actually the 4 different temperaments: the melancholic one, the phlegmatic one, the choleric, and the sanguinic. So I don't know if you're familiar with the different types of temperaments. I think some are more famous than others, and maybe it's a good idea to just explain some of them and give a little bit of background information. So basically, the melancholic type or temperament, these people are sad, they're easily scared, they're depressed, poetic and artistic. Phlegmatic one, so they're kind of slow, they're relaxed, rational and consequential. The cholerics, so they are fiery, feisty, energetic, and passionate. And the sanguinic, so they're good, happy, optimistic, and they believe in themselves. I think I find a little bit of all of them in myself, but some I think are kind of more close to my nature. For example, I think I have some choleric type of temperament, a little bit of the sanguinic, and I think also the melancholic one. I don't really find myself in the phlegmatic temperament, but I might have to read a little bit more about it. I'm not really sure I fit into this category, but basically the person who came up with the whole idea, that's Galen. Galen from Pergam, today's Turkey. So he was a physicist and a surgeon and a philosopher. He worked in Rome. He was a doctor to gladiators. He treated their traumas. and he wrote more than 500 medicinal books. So that's really impressive. But let's not dive too deep into that subject. Now, René Descartes is also a really interesting, or was a really interesting person. He was born in France, and he came up with the idea that the mind and body are separate. And he thought that the body is the matter. It's like an automatic machine, and the mind is non-material. It's in the glands in the brain. So, but this concept is a little bit more complicated, so maybe let's not get too much into it.